Maniga Kalyana Maita Miss Vigompa Pizoyame Ingari Piotavare Kalyana Mita ha Tata Dianele Pizoyame Sura Piotavare Tilanele Pizoyame Sura Piotavare Tutanele Pizomame Sura Piotavare Saganele Pizomame Urianele Pizomame Tatinele Pizoyame Tamarinele Pizo Pinanele Pizoyame Piotavare Eddie going at Rega the Kujin Pizo Jinja Yan Haine a Judua lady, Dine Celebita Shimpiago Baba.
Yesterday, we talked about the various qualities that are required of a Kalyana Mitta, or a good spiritual friend. We talked about how it is important for one aspiring to be a good spiritual friend to be endowed with qualities such as faith and so forth. Today, the Sayadaw will deal with each of these qualities in more detail and talk about the benefits that can be derived from having such qualities.
Any Kunamurama Tata Diane Pizon Jinja Yes, Papia Nyandogo Yungchida Pia Kankan Ju Yungchida Edilu Pilushi Yes, Papia Tambori Nyamori Adamanian Tabinita Nyando a chow yin, that worry for ma. Choosy what Lula, Chinatanamu. Era leve lemon of Pepsi.
For one who is endowed with faith, a spiritual friend who is endowed with faith means one who believes in the enlightenment of the Buddha as well as in the law of cause and effect. The enlightenment of the Buddha here comprises two aspects. One is the aspect of total liberation from all kilesas. And the second aspect is that of omniscient knowledge. Now, for one who believes in both the enlightenment of the Buddha as well as the law of cause and effect, he will also not abandon the fact that the Buddha's enlightenment or his omniscient enlightenment was motivated by great compassion and care for the welfare and happiness of all beings.
Adi Sata Sampana Yogi Buddha Diane Pizon Yame, so there's Exuma Tata Sura Quebia China Jessiba. And a lady level the Kujin, Saint Shimpia Luarida.
The word Saddha in Pali, which we usually translate as faith, has various aspects to it. And the Sayadaw would like to deal with three particular aspects tonight.
Adi Sadaga Di Pasada Sada Ni Okavana Sada To Adigama Sada Ne Li Agamaniya Satta Limyo Shibare.
Actually, there are 4 aspects that should be dealt with tonight. And the first one is called Pasada Satta. And the second is called Ukapana Satta. And the third, Adhigama Satta. And the fourth,
Agamaniya Satta.
Agamaniya Satta.
Very Limyo Pasada Satta Sura Yuziyari Mia Jaya Sitemha Jilin Dwada the Voli Babe Sujabazu Jinuwaya Sixinzia Lady Voli Buddha Yuwara Web Ship Buddha Diarogo Jaya Web Ship Boli Every good Pisia Nyingwe Atan Lady Jar Sick Lady G with the Dwara La Pasara Sata cover. သူကတော့စိတ်ကြည်ယုံမျှပါပဲလောဘဒေါသလေးတွေခိုက်တန်ကြည်ယုံမျှပါပဲဉာဏ်တော့မပါဘူးသူက
Pasada Saddha here means bright faith, and is that faith that arises in a person who comes across some object of reverence. May it be a Buddha image or the Dhamma discourse and so forth. Whatever it may be, if such a person who has the potential of faith in him were to come into contact with an object of reverence, his mind would be stimulated and inspired, and he would find a clarity and brightness of mind in him. Now that sort of faith is called bright faith because it stems from the inspiration that is derived from encountering an object of reverence, and it makes the mind really bright and clear.
Two day of Malufene, the Launina Gina Nida Boko ha to me up your Yadigo, Yuji Ludat. Popular Goa Yuji can pit a Yautu River, go by Yane, Senimiro Chilo, Kundadi Rigo, Madiaro, Yamere, Tadadia, and you never pyong that apart. Blind faith for you never pyong that apart.
However, this sort of bright faith is one that occurs without knowledge. For a person who has a tendency to activate such states of mind, he can very likely be led astray. A person who frequently gets involved, who frequently find himself engulfed in such bright faith can be very gullible, because he or she does not use wisdom or intelligence, knowledge to consider the facts or consider the object of reverence that he or she comes across. So you can also say that bright faith is blind faith.
Kababa Maleve Erilu Yamabave Yujialo Sia Duka Yoni, the Taragari, Leve Machakana, the Rinzaro, Radio Ginyani, the Java, the Tausa Jibu.
We are doubtless quite aware of many cases where people who are inspired by such bright faith have gotten into a lot of trouble. We have heard about these reports through the mass media.
Pasarasada Jauno, the love Jayune, no love by.
This brief description of bright faith would be quite sufficient at this point.
Eriga Navy, a simian for Lovare. Ariani, the simian Dedore, Sadagaro, Okapana Sadava.
Well, one step above this bright faith is Okapana Sata.
Tuga Singing don't mean don't lean it. Kubayane, Socha Vido, da Amavelu. A debut Socha Jad, Sadago, Okapana Sada to cover.
Okapana Sada can perhaps be translated as a sort of faith that comes out of wise consideration. It's a sort of faith that is quite different from the first bright faith, because the subject makes use of his intelligence to weigh the pros and cons and the object of reverence that he has come across. So that sort of faith has some degree of wisdom, some degree of intelligence that is associated with it.
Yogiga Wutu Amanego Sisi Bido Da Mamere Lu Jabu Nawane Kubayane Sochache Jadware Tada Muda Okabana Tada Asip Chinhebare.
That faith of verification, Okapanasada, is one in which we verify the bright faith. It's something that some people may present a case, an argument to us, and it may sound pretty logical and reasonable, but we make use of our intelligence to really look into it and to decide for ourselves whether it is worth accepting or not.
Yogiga Wuturiga Badido no Sora Poido Buddha Sabiya Tobia Soye Yerana Tumba Kankai Eju Bawari Babe Eraria Sadia Watu Yogita Yari Sovare.
From the Buddhist tradition, the sort of things that are worthy of belief, of faith, are none other than the triple gem and the law of cause and effect.
Yerana Doma Saragaro Buido Dia Pieta Dija de Dai Paya Ye Tea Buddha Ye Dhamma Ye Sangha Ye Kankai Josara Kudukai Agudukai Druye Konju Subjeti Baba Bawa Suragaro Lungere Buane Lame Buari Romati de Ugo Tamalo Yakubua Duenia Luci Hurunga Leve Shike no Leve Wizane Tana Mountain Sita Makonde Luciano Kandi Pubido Kicha Umelu Tilo Nale Vido Jumjia Me Havabe.
There was an additional item that I missed out just now. In addition to the 3 gems, the triple gem, the law of cause and effect, there is also a belief, there is also existence, the existence of this present life and of the past life and of the future life. As all of us would know, the 3 gems, of course, refer to the Buddha, the Dhamma, and the Sangha. The law of cause and effect, the law of karma, refers to wholesome and unwholesome karma and their corresponding wholesome and unwholesome results. Existence here, of course, refers to life, and although most of us will not have direct experience of or direct recall of our past existence, nor would we have the insight to really know of the future existence, one can sort of make an extension of our present experience right now in this life and sort of accept the possibility or fact that there is a life before this one and another one after.
အဲ့ဒီယတနာသုံးပါးရဲ့ဂုဏ်ကြီးတွေကိုအစဉ်အတိုင်းပြဖို့ရာဘုန်းကြီးမှာတာဝန်ရှိပေမဲ့လို့ဘုန်းကြီးလာရတဲ့ခရီးကဓမ္မဂုဏ်ကြီးပြဓမ္မတုဒ္ဒခရီးလို့ကောင်းစဉ်တတ်ထားတာဖြစ်တော့ဘုရားဂုဏ်ကြီးကိုမပြသေးဘဲနဲ့ပထမဆုံးဓမ္မဂုဏ်ကြီးကိုပဲရှိဥစွာပြပါရစေ
Although it's the responsibility of the Sayadaw to point out or explain the virtues of the Buddha, Dhamma and Sangha, he feels that since his trip to America is one which he would like to regard as an ambassadorial trip to show the virtues of the Dhamma, he would rather start by explaining the virtues of the Dhamma instead of those of the Buddha.
Buddha နေ့စီကတတိပဋ္ဌာန်ရဲ့ဂုဏ်ကြီးတွေကိုအချင်းချုပ်ခုနှစ်မျိုးရှိတယ်ဆိုတာပြောတော့ပါတယ်ခုဒီပိဋကဟာငကောလည်းပဲတတိပဋ္ဌာန်ဂုဏ်ကြီးတွေကိုကြာဘူးနာဝါရှိထားတဲ့အပြင်လက်တွေလည်းပဲအားထုတ်ထားပါတယ်ခုခါလည်းပဲထပ်ပြီးတော့ကြားရပြန်တယ်လက်တွေလည်းပဲအားထုတ်နေကြပါတယ်ဒီတော့တတိပဋ္ဌာန်ရဲ့ဂုဏ်ကြီးတွေကိုနည်းနည်းဖြစ်ဖြစ်များများဖြစ်ဖြစ်ကြားရတော့ဒီဟာတွေတဲ့အကျိုးရှိပါလားဆိုတာပေါ့လေနားလည်ပြီးတော့ယုံကြည်သွားတာအဲ့ဒီယုံကြည်သွားတာဩကပ္ပနတရာပါပဲ
The other day we talked about the 7 benefits of Satipatthana meditation, and most of you, or all of you here, must have heard of these benefits long before, and you would have also experimented with Satipatthana meditation taught in various traditions, and right now you are also practicing Satipatthana Vipassana meditation. So after having considered all these facts, having read about Satipatthana before practice, and having done some sort of practice before and even right now, you may perhaps have a sense of confidence and faith in the results that might possibly be obtained to the practice of Satipatthana. That sort of faith, that sort of confidence in the benefits of Satipatthana meditation is called Okappana, Saddha, or verified faith.
အဲ့ဒီအကျိုးခုနှစ်မျိုးထဲမှာလောဘဒေါသအစရှိတဲ့စိတ်ကြီးတွေကင်းဝေးစင်ကြယ်ဖို့အကြောင်းဤသောခရီးဆိုတာကြားထားရုံတက်မဟုတ်ဘဲနဲ့စားကညွှန်တဲ့အတိုင်းဘုန်းကြီးတို့ဒီယောဂီတွေဓမ္မဟိုတုန်းကလည်းပဲထိုက်တန်သမျှအထုတ်ခဲ့ပါပြီဒီခုလည်းပဲအထုတ်ဆဲပဲလက်တွေ့နဲ့စစ်စစ်ကြည့်ပေါ့ကိုယ်ထဲမှာစိတ်ဆိုင်ထားတယ်ဝမ်းပိုက်မှာစိတ်ဆိုင်ထားတယ်နှာခေါင်းမှာစိတ်ဆိုင်ထားတယ်ဖောင်းမှုပိန်မှုခုနတိုးမှုတွန်းမှုလေးတွေသူတို့ဖြစ်ဆဲမှာစိတ်အားဆိုင်ပြီးတော့ချိန်သားကြိုက်ပြီးတော့ဆွဲမြဲစွာရှုတော့ရှုရအောင်ဒီမှာစိတ်ကလေးရတော့မှစိုက်ကြတယ် တတိကလေးရရှိနေတော့စိတ်ဟာတခြားတစ်ပါးအာယုန်တွေကိုမပြုတ်မိပဲနဲ့စိတ်ကလေးမှာဒီမှာအလုတ်ရှိတီတာလီတာပွေတာလော်လီတာမရှိဘူးဒီမှာပဲငြိမ့်နေတာပဲအဲ့ဒီငြိမ့်နေတဲ့ခိုက်တာစဉ်းစားဖို့တမတေရာကပါသလားမပါဘူးရှင်းနေတယ်မြေမုန်းတဲ့ဒေါသပါသလားမပါဘူးရှင်းနေတယ်ဒါကိုရွေးပဲအခြားခြားညီကြီးတွေဆိုတော့ဘာမှမရှိဘူးဒီမှာဒါကိုရွေးပဲကိုရွေးလေးတွေကျုံလာတော့ဟာဟုတ်ပါလားဆိုတာပေါ့လေဘောကပနာတတ္တတရားဟာပို့ပြီးတော့တောက်ပြောင်လာတယ်အဲ့ဒါကိုရွေးနဲ့တိုက်ကြည့်ပါတော့
that Satipatthana meditation, or the path of Satipatthana, is the only way for the purification of beings, for the liberation from the defilements of mind, is a proclamation that is made in the texts. But you should not be content with that. Sayadaw says that right now all of you have had this opportunity to come here and meditate according to the Satipatthana Vipassana meditation, and you should fully exploit the situation and allow yourself to discover the actual benefits of Satipatthana meditation by putting it into actual practice. Sayadaw would also like to draw your attention to your personal experiences within these few days. Like if you are watching your rising and falling in the abdomen, and if you are trying to keep your attention there, and your mindfulness does indeed stay quite closely with all the processes that are occurring in each rise and fall, then what do you think? Do you think that if your mind is so concentrated in the rise and fall, do you think that the defilements of mind will have a chance to assault you? Do you think that if your mind is truly fixed on the nature of what is happening in the rising and falling process, there is a chance for greed or lust or anger or delusion or confusion to arise? You can verify it for yourself. Isn't that a kind of purity of mind? Isn't a mind that is free from the defilements such as greed and hatred and delusion, a mind that can be said to be a pure one? So if one practices this meditation and one can more or less see the point, or one can verify for oneself that this indeed is the path for achieving purity of mind, then that sort of faith, that sort of confidence constitutes Okapana Saddha, or verified faith. And it is even a deeper level of verified faith because you actually put it into practice, and it is through your own personal experience that you have come to this firm conviction.
ကဘာပေါ်မှာထင်ရှားကြော်ကြားတဲ့စိတ္တိပပညာရှင်ကြီးတယောက်ဟာယောဂပျောက်ရေးအတွက်ထက်မြက်တဲ့ဈေးတစ်ခုကိုတီထွင်ဖော်ထုတ်လိုက်ပါတယ်ဒီဈေးဟာဘယ်ယောဂတွေအတွက်ပျောက်ဖို့တေးကြပါတယ်ဆိုတာတီထွင်လိုက်တယ်တီထွင်လိုက်တော့ဒီယောဂရဲ့စွမ်းရည်တတ္တိကိုကြာဘူးနာဝနဲ့ယုံကြည်သွားတာတစ်ပိုင်းမှာအခြားပုဂ္ဂိုလ်တွေယောဂပျောက်သွားတာတွေ့ရလို့ယုံကြည်ရတာတစ်ပိုင်းမှာနောက်ကိုယ်တိုင်ယောဂရှိလို့ဒီဆေးကိုနှီးဝဲလိုက်လို့ပျောက်သွားတဲ့အခါမှာဟာဒီဆေးဟုတ်ပါလားတိတ်ထက်မြက်တဲ့ဆေးပဲဆိုတာပေါ့လေဆေးရဲ့စွမ်းရည်ကို တိပြီးတော့တေကောင်းတဲ့ဆေးပဲလို့လက်ခံယုံကြည်လိုက်တာအဲ့ဒီသဘောမျိုးနဲ့ရှင်းကြည့်ပါ
Sayadaw would like to illustrate this point by an example. Say there is a world-renowned medical research scientist, and he has discovered, or he has created a drug that is supposed to be able to cure certain sort of disease. And so he makes that proclamation. He tells the whole world that this drug is very potent. For anyone who takes this drug, he will be cured of such and such a disease, such and such an illness. Now there will be some people who will believe in what he says by merely listening to his statement, his proclamation. And there will be others who will be who will also believe if they see his patients recovering from that particular disease as a result of having taken the drug that he discovered, he created. And yet there will be another group of people who will have a very firm sense of conviction, an unshakable belief in the efficacy and power of that drug. For they are those who have suffered from that particular disease and who have actually taken the drug and have been cured totally of the disease. So for one who has tried the drug and who has been cured, this question of faith becomes redundant. For him, it's a total conviction out of personal experience.
တက်မြတ်တဲ့ကဘာကျော်ဆေးကိုအမိပြုပြီးတော့လည်းပဲဆေးတူတွေကလည်းပေါ်တတ်ပါတယ်အဲ့ဒီဆေးတူတွေကတော့ဆေးအစ်စ်လောက်တော့တက်မြတ်ခြင်းမှာတက်မြတ်မှာပါတယ်မှာအဲ့တော့ဆေးစစ်မစစ်ဆိုတာပေါ့ဒီကိုယ်တိုင်စမ်းသပ်ကြည့်ရင်သိနိုင်ကြပါတယ်အခု IMS ပြိတ္တလည်းပဲတတိပဋ္ဌာန်ဆေးတက်မြတ်ကြောင်းကိုစမ်းသပ်ကြည့်တော့ထိုက်တန်သမျှတိနာလေတော့ဒီမှာဩဃပနတတ္တတရားတွေလည်းပဲထိုက်တန်သမျှဖြစ်နေလိမ့်မယ်ဆိုတာယုံကြည်ပါတယ်
It is a very common occurrence in this planet of ours to have imitations sprouting up when the real thing is being advertised. And in the case of the example that we used just now of that very renowned scientist who created this drug, now that drug that he created may be the real thing, but there will be others who will try to exploit the situation and who will produce imitations and make the same claim that their drug would also have the same power, the same efficacy to completely cure a patient of that particular disease. Of course, the best way to know is to try it for yourself. And the same principle is applied to what we are doing here now. You're trying for yourself, and you're walking the spiritual path yourself. Come, see for yourself. Is the claim by the Buddha truly what it claims to be? The Sayadaw is quite confident, however, that most of you have been very dedicated, are very dedicated, and are trying your very best to put this Satipatthana meditation into practice. And doubtless, in your own personal experiences, you can verify to a large extent, the fact that at every moment of mindful noting, the mind is indeed pure and free from the kilesas, from the defilements of mind.
စေတူတွေကိုစေစစ်လို့ယူဆပြီးတော့အာဟုတစ်ခုနဲ့မိဝဲတဲ့အခါမှာယောဂမပြောက်တယ်လို့ထို့အတူစေစစ်ကိုစေစစ်ပဲရဲ့လို့မယုံကြည်လို့ရှိရင်လည်းပဲယောဂမပြောက်နိုင်ပါဘူးယုံကြည်ပေမဲ့လို့စေကိုလည်းပဲပုံမှန်ပေါ့လေအချိန်မှအတိုင်းတာမှမမိဝဲပြန်ဘူးဆိုလို့ရှိရင်လည်းပဲယောဂမပြောက်နိုင်ပါဘူးတော့စေစစ်ကိုစေစစ်မှသိပြီးတော့ယုံကြည်ကြည်နဲ့မိဝဲမှာပြောက်နိုင်တယ်ဆိုတဲ့အချက်ကိုလည်းပဲစဉ်းစားဖို့ပါပဲ
If we believe wrongly that the imitation stuff is the real thing and we take it, then we will certainly not be cured of our disease. On the other hand, if we do not believe in the real thing and we take it, you have heard of cases where faith plays an important part in therapy. If faith is not present, no matter how effective the therapy may be, it may not result in any positive advantages. Finally, even if we believe in the efficacy of the medicine, but we do not take it according to prescription, we do not take it regularly, and we do not take it as prescribed by our physician, then that too will not bring about any positive results.
အဲ့ဒီလိုယောဂပြောင်းရေးအတွက်ဆေးကိုမိဝဲရမှာမတည့်တဲ့အစာတွေရှောင်ဖို့နဲ့တည့်တဲ့အစာတွေကိုလည်းပဲစားဖို့လူသေးတယ်ဆိုတာလည်းပဲအဲ့ဒါနားလည်ဖို့လိုပါသေးတယ်ရတယ်
There are also certain types of medical treatment where certain drugs or natural medicine are prescribed in conjunction with some sort of diet prohibitions. You take the medicine, but you're not supposed to take certain food that do not go well with the medicine. So this aspect also should be noted.
မတည့်တဲ့စာတွေရှောင်ရှားဆိုတာကသီလတွေမပြတ်ဖို့ပေါ့လေစောင့်တည်ဆောင်နေထားတဲ့သီလတွေပြတ်တာဒါမတည့်တဲ့စာတွေရှောင်နေခေါ်ပါတယ်ပြီးတော့မယုံမသိလောက်တာတို့မစိမစလောက်တာတို့ယာနာလောက်တာတို့စိတ်ဆန္ဒပြင်းပြပြထားပြီးတော့မလောက်တာတို့စသည်ပေါ့လေအဲ့ဒါတွေဟာမတည့်တဲ့အစာတွေပါပဲအဲ့ဒီရဲ့ဆန့်ကျင်ဘက်ဟာတည့်တဲ့အစာလို့ဆိုပါတယ်အဲ့ဒါတွေကလည်းပဲမတည့်တဲ့အစာရှောင်တဲ့အနေလိုပေါ့လေခုနဟာတွေရှောင်ရှားလို့ရှိရင်ကိုယ်မှာတရားမှာအနှောက်အယှက်မဖြစ်ပါဘူးတဲ့တာတွေဆောင်ပွားလို့ရှိရင်တော့ကိုယ်မှာဒီပဋ္ဌာန်တရားအထုတ်ရေးမှာအကျိုးကျေးဇူးတွေအများကြီးရှိလာတာဆိုတာယောဂီတွေကိုယ်လေးဖြစ်ပါလိမ့်မယ်
The unsuitable food that is relevant to our situation now in this retreat, of course, refers to impurity of moral conduct. It refers to the breaking of precepts, the withering of precepts. Negligence, discontinuity in practice, discontinuity of mindfulness, irreverence in the practice of meditation, frivolousness and superficiality in noting, and so forth. All these also constitute unsuitable food as far as our situation is concerned. And to use the same analogy, if one partakes of unsuitable food which does not conduce to good physical health and strength, then we would of course suffer its consequences. So too for this meditation retreat, if we do not avoid unsuitable food for the yogi, food here meaning the various things like breaking of sila and unmindfulness and so forth, then we would also have to suffer the consequences of taking unsuitable food.
အဲ့ဒီလိုမတည့်တာတွေရှောင်ရှားတော့ဘေးမဖြစ်တည့်တာတွေဆောင်ဖွားတော့ကျိုးကျေးဇူးတွေရှိလာတော့ခန္ဓာကိုယ်မှာတွေးသားတွေထူးထူးခြားခြားကြီးကောင်းလာတွေးသားလက်ပတ်မှုတွေကောင်းလာအဲ့ဒီကကြလို့ရှိရင်ကျမ်းမာရေးအကျိုးနားလည်ပြီးတော့ကျမ်းမာရေးပေါ်မှာတန်ဖိုးထားတယ်တန်ဖိုးထားလေပို့ပြီးတော့ဂရုစိုက်လေဖြစ်လာတော့ကိုယ်မှာခုခံအားတွေထူးထူးခြားခြားကြီးကောင်းလာတော့တာပဲ ဒီခါမှာမကြမ်းပါစရာအကြောင်းနေတဲ့တွေ့ပြီလေလို့ကြမ်းပါကြီးဘာမှထိခိုက်မသွားတော့ဘူးဒါလိုပဲစက္ကန့်တိုင်းမှာကိုယ်ရဲ့စိုက်ပြီးတော့လက်ငင်းပေါ်တဲ့အာယုန်နဲ့ကြိုက်အောင်စိတ်အားစိုက်ခြင်းသားကြိုက်ပြီးတော့ဆွဲမြဲစွာရှုတဲ့ပုဂ္ဂိုလ်ဟာရှုတိုင်းမရှုလို့ဖြစ်ခွင့်ရှိတဲ့ရာဂဒေါသစိတ်ယောဂတွေအညစ်အကြေးတွေကင်းနေတာတန်ရှင်းနေတာ တဏှာကြီးဆို10မိနစ်ဆိုလို့ရှိရင်အချိန်ပေါင်း60 တဏှာကြီးဆိုလို့ရှိရင်3600အဲ့ဒီနည်းနဲ့တွက်ကြည့်ပေါ့အရှိန်ကရလာတော့နောက်ဉာဏ်လေးတွေထူးထူးခြားခြားဖြစ်လာတယ်ဉာဏ်ဖြစ်ပုံတော့နောက်ဆက်ပြောပါမယ်ဒါစိတ်မှာခုခံအားတွေထူးထူးခြားခြားကောင်းလာတော့ဒီပေါ်မှာအကျိုးရှိမှနားလေတော့တန်ဖိုးတွေထားလာတယ်တန်ဖိုးထားလေးတွေပို့ပြီးတော့ယူသေးလေးစိစက်လေးမယမနာလှုပ်လေးစသည်ပေါ့လေပို့ပြီးတော့လည်းပဲစိတ်တွေတန်ရှင်းပြီးတော့စိတ်အားတွေရှိလေကိုခုစိတ်ခုခံအားတွေကောင်းလေဖြစ်လာတယ်ဆိုတာယောဂီတွေနှိုင်းရှင်ပြီးတော့စဉ်းစားကြည့်ပါ
When we abstain from taking unsuitable food, we of course are taking the precaution of getting ill or getting food poisoning and so forth. And if we are careful and selective in our diet, taking only those things which are suitable for us, then we would certainly be able to improve in health and gain strength. Suitable food will conduce to good digestion and blood circulation and also to good health. Similarly, for a yogi, if he refrains from all those negative activities like breaking of precepts and unmindfulness and so forth, and he cultivates those positive qualities of security of morality, being secure in your sila, and being continuous in your mindfulness, being trying to put in effort and applying also accuracy in aiming your mindfulness at the object that arises at any of the sense doors at any moment, which is most prominent. As long as these activities are pursued, the yogi's spiritual health will be developing all the time. It's like a person who abstains from unsuitable food and takes suitable food. He will find that there is a real improvement in his health, and that feeling of robustness, of healthiness, would be really a source of inspiration for him to continue his diet. So too for a yogi, if he practices by trying to really maintain his morality, his sila, and in being really determined and persevering and dedicated in applying accurate mindfulness diligently to every object that arises at any moment during the day, then he will also find that he will be able to experience a certain sense of spiritual health and robustness. And that too will be a source of inspiration for him or her to continue diligence in practice, non-superficiality in practice.
စိတ်တွေတန်ရှင်းလို့ဆက်ပြီးတော့အဆက်မပြတ်ပေါ့လေရှုမှတ်နေတဲ့အခါရှုစရာလေးကတစ်ခုရှုတာလေးကတစ်ခုပေါ့လေယုတ်ကတစ်ခုနာငါတစ်ခုပေါ့လေသိစရာကတစ်ခုသိတာကတစ်ခုဆိုတာကွဲလာရင်တကယ်အရှိကိုအရှိတိုင်းရှုနေရင်ကကွတ္တိဖြုံးရောက်ကြီးသိလိုက်တာနဲ့ပဲပုဂ္ဂိုလ်တ attva မဟုတ်ဘူးငါသူယောက်ျားမိန်းမမဟုတ်ဘူးနာယုတ်နဲ့နာမယ်ဆိုတာပေါ့လေအတိပြုဆုံးဖြတ်ချက်ကြတော့တာပဲအဲ့ဒါဟာဩကပ္ပနာတ္တာအဆင့်မြင့်လာတာပါပဲလုပ်ငန်းနဲ့ပြုစုပြုထောင်ပေးလို့ယုတ်နာပိုင်းခြားသိတာနဲ့ပဲဓမ္မအဆင့်တက်လာတာ
This for a yogi who diligently activates accurate mindfulness at every moment, he will eventually, or he will gradually penetrate into the true nature of what's happening in his or her mind-body process. It becomes quite clear to the yogi that there is a knowing process and there is something that is known, and that these two are quite different. And as he penetrates deeper and deeper into this experience, which is something to be intuitively realized rather than to think about, then it will dawn upon the yogi that actually there is no such thing as man or woman, and all these are just concepts, and what is really present at each moment is this whole process of knowing phenomena and the phenomena that is known.
အဲ့ဒီလိုတကယ်အရှိယုံနာကိုအရှိရလို့ကိုယ်ပိုင်ညာနဲ့တည်သွားလို့ဒီနှမျိုးသာရှိတာပဲဆိုတဲ့အတိကလေးပေါ်တာနဲ့ပဲယောက်ျားမိန်းမဆိုတဲ့အတိမရှိပါဘူး ယောက်ျားနဲ့မိန်းမခွဲခြားမှုဆိုတာလည်းပဲအဲ့ဒီအတိတွေမရှိတော့ပါဘူးပြောက်သွားပါပြီတန်းတူလို့ဖြစ်သွားပြီတော့အဲ့ဒါလိုကိုယ်တွေနဲ့အတူတူပဲဆိုတာတတ်တည်ပဲဆိုတာကိုသိအောင်လုပ်ရတာပါ
For one who has penetrated into that level of understanding, we can say that his level of verified faith has also deepened. We can truly say that that faith is verified because he or she has seen it for himself. There is no other thing except for these phenomena of knowing and the known. And it becomes even more obvious for all of us who are concerned about sexual discrimination at that point that this whole discrimination of man and woman is but an illusion. In actual fact, what is really present are these phenomena which exist, which come into being and fall away in every being, whether it's a man or a woman. And indeed, this would be a conquest for all women liberationists.
Buddha ga da ယောက်ျားပဲဒါမိန်းမပဲဆိုတာကိုယ်တိုင်ခွဲခဲ့တာမဟုတ်ပါဘူးဘုရားမပွင့်ခင်တည်းကအလိုလိုပဲယောက်ျားမိန်းမကွဲနေပါတယ်
This discrimination, or rather this difference between man and woman, was present even long before the Buddha came into existence.
လောကမှာသူ့ဟာသူကွဲပြီးသားဟာတော့မိန်းမဟာမိန်းမပဲယောက်ျားယောက်ျားပဲဒါတော့ဘယ်နည်းနဲ့မှမတူဘူးဆိုတာစဉ်းစားတတ်တဲ့ပုဂ္ဂိုလ်တွေအကုန်လုံးလက်ခံပါတယ်
It's such a natural phenomena that all clear-thinking people would know that there is a difference between man and woman.
ဘုရားတို့တတိပဋ္ဌာန်နယ်ထဲမှာတော့တတိပဋ္ဌာန်တရားကိုလက်တွေ့ကြကြအထုတဲ့ပုဂ္ဂိုလ်များဟာယောက်ျားလည်းမဟုတ်တော့ဘူးမိန်းမလည်းမဟုတ်တော့ဘူးဘိက္ခုဆိုတဲ့စကားလေးတစ်လုံးပဲသုံးထားတယ်ပြီးတော့အခုတတိပဋ္ဌာန်တရားလမ်းစဉ်လိုက်တဲ့ပုဂ္ဂိုလ်တွေဟာရိုးရိုးလူကနေပြီးတော့ရိုးရိုးမိန်းမယောက်ျားနေပြီးတော့ဘိက္ခုဆိုတဲ့စရင်ဝင်လာတာအဆင့်ကိုမြင့်လာတာ
But for all of us who are practicing Satipatthana Vipassana meditation, there is actually no necessity to discriminate whether we are men or women. For all of us who are doing this practice, there is a common word for it, which is called bhikkhu.
ကျမ်းဂန်များမှာပြထားပါတယ်ပရိပါဏကောဟိဒေဝဝါဟောတုမနုဿောဝါဘိက္ခုတိတံခံကိစ္စတိရေဝါတဲ့အခုလိုတတိပဋ္ဌာန်လမ်းကြောင်းလက်တွေ့ကြကြလိုက်သူဟာနတ်မြမာပဲဖြစ်ဖြစ်လူသားပဲဖြစ်ဖြစ်ဘယ်ပုဂ္ဂိုလ်မဆိုပေါ့လေလိုက်လို့ရှိရင်ဘိက္ခုဖြစ်တာကြီးပဲတဲ့ဘာမှမခွဲဘူးတဲ့မှာတော့အကုန်လုံးဘိက္ခုကြီးပဲမှာ
It is explained in the scriptures that for one who practices Satipatthana Vipassana meditation, whether he be a deva or a brahma, or man or woman, the distinction does not really matter. For that individual, it is rightly called a bhikkhu.
ဒီထဲမှာငုတ်နေတဲ့အဓိပ္ပာယ်လေးတော့ပြောပြရစီဘိက္ခုဆိုတာကအ내အဓိပ္ပာယ်နှစ်မျိုးထွက်ပါတယ်လို့ရဲ့ပထမတစ်မျိုးက ယုံနာနေဆက်ဆက်ပြီးတော့ဖြစ်နေတဲ့အပေါ်မှာဥနာတရေဒုက္ခပဲတွေမြင်တော့ကြောက်လာတာကြောက်စရာတွေပဲလို့ဒီလိုရှုတဲ့ပုဂ္ဂိုလ်ကိုဒါဘိက္ခုလို့ခေါ်ပါတယ်အဲ့ဒါကဤတစ်မျိုးပါ
The scriptures give us various etymologies for the word bhikkhu, give us different definitions of the word bhikkhu, and one definition is that a bhikkhu is one who gets frightened by the realities of life, sickness, old age, and death. And bhikkhu is one who, having realized that predicament, is practicing hard to be liberated.
Good debate that never edulu chausia be mini lame, so hold on and you gave it and a good level mini lame, do young chibare. Benero, Niyara Mola.
So I wonders whether all of you here actually are aware of that fear or aware of that danger of old age, of sickness, of death.
A bit me, you know, a bit digger, low and lowly melody. Mashiba. A senior pitching a jungle. The legend, the Maricin, Pina, Janet, better for Lubadi.
By merely being aware of the fault or the unsatisfactoriness of life with all its aspects of suffering, of old age and sickness and death, will not liberate us in any way. We have to strive to be liberated from this dangers by the practice of sila, samadhi and panya.
Yogi ha tilari pizoni lave. Kaune ko muyari, kaune yinchire ko no muyari shini lave. Tegelo Maliore a few umuri, no abuse or they go. Mapia or Matina Musoluci, Emina Chandan, Lova Doda, Kilita di Pimabo. Sana Nya Davido, Matia de could no a few muriga, Sham Genero, Arichana Kilita di Sidera, Masido. Every Chana Kilita de go. Level Pekulu cover.
When one is trying to observe precepts, trying to maintain purity of sila, one is actually trying to uproot or trying to prevent very gross kilesas from occurring. Motivated by a sense of consideration and compassion and loving care for other beings, one restrains the manifestation of aggressive thoughts, lustful thoughts, and so forth through body and speech. And as long as our sila is pure and intact, then there will be no chance for these negative states of mind to give vent in the form of speech and action. So in such a case, gross kilesas that can be manifested through speech and body are prevented from arising. They are exterminated as long as our morality is pure. So for such a person, he is also called a bhikkhu.
Sila bhikkhuခေါ်တယ်
He is called a sila bhikkhu.
ပြီးတော့တရားမှာဆိုရင်14နာရီနဲ့14နာရီတည်းကလုံးဝအိပ်ပျော်ခြင်းခြံထားထားပြီးတော့ကျန်တဲ့အချိန်တွေမှာသွားနေတော့ရနေတော့ထိုင်နေတော့အရာပေါ်လှဲတော့ကွေးတော့ဆန်တော့စသည်ပေါ့လေထင်ရှားဖြစ်ပေါ်လာတဲ့အမူအရာတိုင်းကိုမလွတ်တမ်းမှတ်နိုင်ရေးအတွက်ဖြောက်မှန်တဲ့ကြောင်းညက်ဆိုင်မှုတွေတမာမမမဲ့ခင်တွေဖြစ်နေတယ်ကြောင်းညက်ဆိုင်ပြီးတော့ဆွဲမြဲတဲ့ရှုမှတ်မှုတမာတိမဲ့ခင်တွေဖြစ်နေတယ်ဆွဲမြဲစွာရှုမရအောင်မှာစိတ်ကလေးတွေစုကလေးစိုက်ကလေးစိတ်ကနိုင်မလားကြနေတယ်ဒီခါမှာကိလေသာလက်မခံပယ်လှန်တဲ့သဘောစိတ်ရှင်မှာကိလေသာမဝင်ရအောင်ပိတ်ဆို့တဲ့သဘောနဲ့ကိုထားရအာယုံမှာစိတ်ကလေးစုစုစီစီဖြစ်နေတဲ့သမာဓိတွေဖြစ်နေပါတယ်စဉ်းစားစမ်းဒီခါမှာစိတ်ထဲမှာຢာကားတွေဖြစ်သလားဒေါသတွေဖြစ်သလားမဖြစ်ပါဘူးဘာဖြစ်လို့လဲခုနကဝိရိယစတိသမာဓိခေါ်တဲ့သမာဓိခန္ဓာသမထတရားနဲ့တမပယ်ဖြစ်နေတာအဲ့ဒါဘိက္ခုပဲဘာဘိက္ခုတို့သမာဓိဘိက္ခုခေါ်တယ်
If you're trying to be mindful for the whole of your waking hours, of each moment, each activity, whether you are sitting and watching your breath, or when you are getting up and stretching and bending your arms, opening the doors, putting on your clothes, eating, washing, brushing your teeth, or winking your eyes, and so forth. At every moment, there is the effort made to be mindful of whatever that is obvious and happening. And there is also the mindfulness, the ability of the mind to note and penetrate into what's happening, plus the occurrence of samadhi or one-pointedness of mind. And when these three important elements of effort, mindfulness and one-pointedness of mind are present, then at that moment the kilesas are prevented from occurring. So for such a person who is diligently activating his mindfulness in a one-pointed and accurate way, then we call him a samadhi bhikkhu.
အဲ့လိုသမာဓိတွေကောင်းလို့အရုံနဲ့မစိတ်နဲ့ချိန်လာကြိုက်ပြီးတော့ရုပ်ရယ်နာရယ်လို့တကယ်အမှန်နေသိမြင်တဲ့ဉာဏ်တွေပွင့်လာရဲ့ပိုင်နေစွာရှိမိတဲ့အရုံပေါ်မှာကိလေသာမျိုးပြုတ်သွားတာပဲချိန်မိုက်ပြုတ်သွားတာပေါ့မျိုးတော်မှမကြတော့ဘူးဆိုတော့မျိုးတော်မကြအောင်ဒီမှာဉာဏ်လေးပွင့်သွားတယ်ဆိုတော့အဲ့ဒါကိလေသာမျိုးကိုပယ်တတ်တဲ့ပညာဘိက္ခုလို့ခေါ်ပါတယ်
With the maturing with the balance and maturing of these three elements of effort, mindfulness and concentration, then there is the opportunity for the flower of wisdom to blossom. There is the insight that is able to penetrate into the true nature of things, that there is only matter and mind, and to come to an understanding of their interrelationship and their characteristics. When such insight or wisdom is present, the kilesas or the potential kilesas, the dormant kilesas, are uprooted on a temporary basis, on a provisional basis, on a moment-to-moment basis. So for that sort of yogi, we call him a Panya Bhikkhu, a wisdom Bhikkhu.
အဲ့ဒါလို့အမှန်ကိုမသိသေးရင်လောကကြီးကတော့ယောက်ျားရဲ့မိန်းမရဲ့ခွဲနေဥမှာပဲဘုရုံးကလည်းပဲဒီတိုင်းပဲယူဆခဲ့တယ်မိမိကိုယ်တိုင်လည်းပဲငါယောက်ျားပဲငါမိန်းမပဲဆိုတာကွဲနေမှာပါပဲဒီလိုအသိဉာဏ်လေးရသွားလို့ရှိရင်တော့ယောက်ျားမိန်းမမကွဲတော့ပဲနဲ့ဓာတ်တွေဟာယုံနဲ့နာမယ်ဆိုတာကိုဒီတသားတည်းဖြစ်သွားမှာ
As long as we fall short of this revelation, so to speak, we will always still be caught in the illusion of man and woman. We will still always be identifying ourselves and saying that I'm a man or I'm a woman. And it is only with wisdom and insight into the true nature of all these directly experientiable phenomena as mind and matter that we can be free from our own cage, from our own self-limitations that is responsible for making sexual discrimination.
အဲ့ဒါလို့ယုံနာလေးပိုင်းခြားသိတဲ့ခြေကညာလေးကအစတစင်းပြီးတစင်းကြောင်းကျိုးဆက်ပြီးတော့တည်ပုံနေအဲ့ဒီပေါ်မှာမမျက်စိရဲ့သဘောပဲဆိုတာသိမြင်ပုံလေးပေါ့ဒီအစင်းစင်းစင်းစင်းညာလေးတွေဖြစ်ပြီးတော့နောက်ဆုံးရှုစရာကလေးကလည်းပဲတက်ကလေးပဲသဘောတက်တက်လေးပဲရှုတာလေးကလည်းသဘောတက်တက်လေးပဲဆိုတာရှင်းပြီးတော့အင်းကြီးနဲ့နိဗ္ဗာန်ပေါ့လေအဲ့ဒီအင်းကြီးနဲ့တက်ကိုရောက်သွားမှာအဲ့ဒီကကြာလို့ရှိယောက်ျားမိန်းမဆိုတာအရှင်းမဟုတ်ပါဘူးဝိပဿနာဉာဏ်ခိုက်တာမှာကိုပဲယောက်ျားမိန်းမဆိုတာမရှိပါဘူးဓာတ်တွေပါပဲအဲ့တော့တကယ်အင်းကြီးနဲ့ဓာတ်ရောက်ရှိရေးအတွက်အဲ့ဒါကိုမျှော်ပြီးတော့ယခုအမိကဘိက္ခုကနေပြီးတော့ပေါ့လေညင်းပြိုင်သွားနေပါတယ်ဒီမှာအမျိုးသားတစ်ဖက်အမျိုးသမီးတစ်ဖက်ပေါ့လေဒီမှာမြင်းပြိုင်သွားနေအမျိုးသမီးတွေကနောက်ကမဟုတ်ပါဘူးမြင်းပြိုင်သွားနေတာအဲ့ဒါလိုမြင်းပြိုင်သွားမှတကယ်ဓာတ်တူယောက်ျားမိန်းမမခွဲတဲ့သိမြင်တဲ့ဉာဏ်ဤအစဉ်စဉ်ဖြစ်ပြီးတော့တကယ်အေးချမ်းတဲ့နေမြေကိုရောက်ကြမှာပါအဲ့ဒီခါကျမှကောင်းကောင်းကြီးနားလည်လာမှာပါ
The ability to differentiate between what is matter and mind on the intuitive level is only the start of a whole series of insights. As practice deepens and deeper and more profound insights unfold, we come to realize or discover the interrelationship between mind and matter, which is based on the law of karma, of cause and effect. We come to see also there are common characteristics of each of these phenomena. They are characteristic of impermanence, of unsatisfactoriness, of non-selfness. And further, as we take further strides in our practice, then it becomes clearer and clearer that there are nothing else, ultimately speaking, there is nothing else except for these elements of mind and matter. That even the person who is being mindful is non-existent. There is only the mindful mind and then the object that is being noted, and that there is only this whole process of knowing and what is being known, knowing and what's being known. So that these are actually all equal elements. They are equal in a sense that there is no basis for comparison. And it is based on this spirit of equality of all these elements that now we find ourselves paradoxically being divided into a section for men and a section for women. The principle of this is that actually it's equal. Both of you are running on parallel tracks. And there's no question of who is going ahead and who is behind. And that eventually, ultimately, everything is happening on an equal basis. Sada hopes that you will be able to travel in comradeship together on these parallel lines and be able to attain that peace of mind, that nirvanic bliss that will shatter all concepts of sex discrimination.
အကျဉ်းချုပ်သိတာကိုပြောရလို့ရှိရင်အခုကြည့်ပါလားအာဇီဝဓမ္မကသိတာလဲအတူတူပဲယောက်ျားနဲ့မိန်းမသူလည်းပဲဒီကိုယ်နဲ့စိုက်ပြီးတော့ရှုမှတ်တာပဲယောက်ျားလည်းဒီလိုပဲအမျိုးသမီးလည်းအတူတူပဲပြီးတော့ယုံနာပိုက်ချသိမှုကြောင်းကျိုးဆက်သွယ်သိမှုဆိုတာသူအားထုတ်လဲသူသိမှာကိုယ်လည်းအားထုတ်သိမှာပဲတန်းတူပဲဘယ်လိုရှင်းနေလို့ဒီမှာဘယ်သူကပို့ပြီးတော့အားထုတ်နိုင်တယ်ဘယ်သူကပို့ပြီးတော့ပွင့်ရတာလဲဆိုတာမရှိဘူးတရားနေတယ်မှာအတူတူပဲ
It is even clearer in our present situation. All of you are undertaking to observe the same precepts, undertaking to practice the same practice, and there's no question of discrimination in terms of opportunity. All of you have the same opportunity to look into your mind and body complex, and every one of you has the opportunity to activate mindfulness so that it will eventually conduce to an insight into the true nature of reality. There's no question of whether insight can only be obtained in men or in women, or whether it will arise first in men or in women. Everything is on an equal basis.
ပြီးတော့ယောဂီဆိုတဲ့သုံးလုံးကလည်းအတူတူပဲသူလည်းယောဂီကိုယ်လည်းယောဂီပဲမှာ
And the term yogi too is something which is non-discriminative. Yogi refers to one who practices meditation with diligent effort.
ဒီနေ့အချိန်ကုန်သွားပါပြီဒါတော့ပဲတော်ကြအောင်စို့ယောဂီများသတိပဋ္ဌာန်ဒီသနာကပြတဲ့အတိုင်းသတိပဋ္ဌာန်ရဲ့အကျိုးသွားတွေကိုစာရဒီနာလေတဲ့အပေါ်မှာလက်တွေ့ပြုစုပြောထောင်ပေးလို့အမှန်တရားလေးတွေအခြေခံအစပြီးတော့တဖြည်းဖြည်းသိမြင်ပြီးတော့နောက်ဆုံးအေးမြတ်တဲ့တက်ရောက်တဲ့အထိပေါ့လေကျိုးစားပွားများအထောက်နိုင်ကြပါစေတတ္တတရားတွေတော့ပြည့်ပြည့်ဝဖြစ်နိုင်ကြပါစေ
Sayadaw concludes today's discourse by wishing that all of you may be able to put into diligent practice what has been shown in the scriptures so that you will make quick progress and eventually have the opportunity to taste the bliss of Nirvana.